He's going to keep this time. They're underway. Lossett. A Tundra into a top. Shearer going to draw a card. There's a Verdant Catacombs. He will sacrifice that, go down to 19 in the process.
That's very rare to see. We almost never see fetch lands in Dredge. So he's playing with 7 fetch lands, 3 Underground Seas, and 4 Cephalid Colosseums.
His mana base is much different.
And as a consequence of this, he's not playing with Lion's Eye Diamond or with Faceless Looting. So this is, at least he's trying to do what you're doing. He's not taking a lot of these cards that people assume are mandatory, playing with some different stuff.
Here's a Putrid Imp.
Getting away from the Gemstone Mines and the City of Brasses is kind of nice.
Oh, the days of Tarnished Citadel.
That one's a doozy. Pro Tour winning Tarnished Citadel. You watch your tongue. Something that, say, Battlefield Forge can't claim. Tarnished Citadel has won a Pro Tour.
How bad you want that colored mana? You tell me.
Oh, Ken Ho wanted it real bad.
It is a Scalding Tarn, passing the turn back. Here is a Cephalid Colosseum. No Dredger here for sure. He's just going to attack from 1.
Well, bam!
That Imp is rather putrid.
Corey telling me that he lost to 8 Putrid Imp hits while, I don't know, Rest in Peace was in play or something like that.
And you saw Joe make a little bit of mistake there with drawing 3 cards. To be fair, he had never spun the top yet, so he doesn't actually know the top cards of his deck. Hasn't cast a Brainstorm, none of that stuff. So the order of the cards actually doesn't matter.
Yeah. I like that we live in a world now where that's not a penalty. We can just fix the game state and move on with life.
Arid Mesa is land number 3. This is Source of Plowshares number 1, going after Putrid Imp. Will there be a discard? There will. Discard Stinkweed Imp. Discard Icarid. Now that's gone.
And this Dredge gets him to Threshold, which means how the Coliseum is turned on.
Yep.
Got a little something going.
A stew, as you'd like to put it. Luckily for me, I like stew. Looks like Joe has some interest in casting a Counterbalance this turn. He does have the lands in play. He can search up some dual lands if he'd like, some mixture of basics, and play Counterbalance. It looks like that's what he's going to do.
Counterbalance not the most exciting against Dredge, but early on in the game it can provide a little bit of help.
So there's a Tundra. And as he does consult the group, he's got another fetch land down there. There's Volcanic.
Since Dredge really isn't into the whole casting spells thing, Counterbalance is not always the best.
But he's got his 1-2 punch in play. It's time to dredge a Stinkweed Imp, I believe. And there it is. So 5 cards going to go into the graveyard. We'll see what these are here in just a moment. Hapless Research, another Stinkweed Imp. A Breakthrough, a Cabal Therapy, and a Bridge from Below.
Which is great here for Alexander because he gets another Dredger already in the graveyard for this Coliseum.
Another Coliseum comes into play as his land for the turn. See, Joe's going to take a look at the graveyard. What are the important cards down there? Again, Bridge from Below, a Stinkweed Imp, so you can dredge yet again, a Cabal Therapy. There's also an Icarid down there.
I think it's time to get back big stinks.
Dredge 5. The first of many here. So let's see what these 5 cards are going to be. An Ashen Rider, another Bridge from Below. A Careful Study, a Breakthrough, and a Cabal Therapy. No Dredgers there. So Shearer's going to check his graveyard for a Dredge card. He's not going to find one, which means he has to draw 1 and 2, and now discard 3 cards. Though that last card he picked up looked like it was a copy of Careful Study. So he's going to discard 2 copies of Stinkweed Imp, as well as a Misty Rainforest. Now he's going to tap a blue for a Careful Study. I'm afraid I have some bad news. Draw a card with Sensei's Divine Topple was set. Put that on top. Trigger, counter, see you later, Careful Study.
So Counterbalance pulled its weight. Got at least 1 spell.
The one thing it counters in this matchup was 1 mana spells. Can counter Therapy, Careful Study, Breakthrough, stuff like that relatively easily.
Yeah.
The second to play a Scalding Tarn does have a top in his hand. That was his draw for the turn. Looks like he's going to redeploy. And he will.
The issue here is Alexander's in a position to flip over a lot of cards this turn.
He can look at a lot of cards. Additionally, he's got Icarid down there. He can start getting to work with Bridge from Below. Now, the question is, does he have a black card that he's content removing? The answer is yes. There goes a Stinkweed Imp. Ichor's going to come on back. The 3-1 Haster in combination with Bridge from Below is quite powerful. He will dredge a Stinkweed Imp, so 5 cards coming yet again. We'll see what these are here. Underground Sea, a Breakthrough, another copy of Ichor, a Narcomoeba, and a Golgari Thug. So another dredger. Narcomoeba will come in.
It's pretty important there for Alexander to flip over another dredger there because I think his graveyard was out. I think he only had the 2 Stinkweed Imps.
Yep. He removed 1, of course, to the Ichor, and then he does have the one in his hand now. Lossett looks as though he's going to spin top here in just a moment. They're just trying to figure out when exactly you are doing this. Because we are right now, because Dredge is resolving, we are in Alexander's draw step.
Yeah.
We're not in his first main phase. Dredge is a replacement effect for a draw. And Joe taking a look at his hand here, along with the 3 cards, a Caracas and a Vendilion Click among them. And Joe says, before I decide how I want to order these things, I need to take a look at your graveyard. Again, a couple copies of Bridge from Below down there, too, along with 2 Cabal Therapies as the relevant pieces. Can't forget about that brand new Ichorid, too.
So part of the game plan for Joe has to be taking some lumps in, letting Alexander get a few shots in, set up a Terminus away the board, and hope that Alexander can't really reassemble something of substance before getting decked. This is how I've seen Joe win game 1s here before.
Given how Joe's hand is lined up right now, this is a Terminus. Again, while still in the draw step. So no Cabal Therapy nonsense, no you get to make zombie tokens, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Ichor and Narcomoeba are going to go to the bottom. Again, Shearer is already dredged for the turn, so he does have a Stinkweed Imp in hand. So his dredger down there right now is a Thug. And that's a dredge 4, so he's going to activate the Coliseum. So dredge 4 here for Thug. There will be a Narcomoeba among them. There's also a Stinkweed Imp, a Putrid Imp, and a Careful Study, so that's another dredger. Shearer does get to keep going. 5 more cards here for Alexander. These 5 are a Misty Rainforest, a Breakthrough, a Putrid Imp, another Verdant Catacombs, and a Careful Study. And now he has to just draw normally and discard 3 cards. So he will take a look at the bin to make sure he discards the appropriate cards. But he's working his way towards a pretty good game state. Again, there are 2 Bridge from Belows in the bin. He will discard 3 dredgers there and 2 Stinkweed Imps and a Thug. Play a copy of Verdant Catacombs. Will sacrifice that.
Although Joe has done a good job of blunting the offensive. Alexander has not had one of the big dredge turns yet. Hasn't really gone out for Joe's hand. Hasn't made a bunch of zombies. And Joe has played this before. He knows that if he can weather the storm once, maybe twice, he can just deck Alexander.
Terminus is crucial.
Yes.
He's already used 1. The top card on Joe's deck is a Sensei's Divine Top, so he knows what he's drawing next turn, just like you guys do at home. He's got that Naked Counterbalance in play. Now, if something does come up, he can, of course, sacrifice that Scalding Tarn. He would have to make the top go away, though. However, that's just it for Shearer's turn. Lossett will play the top, reestablish his soft lock, and pass the turn back. Don't forget, Joe does know the top 2 cards of his deck, the 3rd one down, a mystery.
Yeah. Often Dredge takes a turn or 2 to kind of get the engine revving.
A little bit of setup, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a Stinkweed Imp. Dredge 5, no return of Ichorid here. Those 5 cards, Hapless Researcher, 2 Ichorids, and then 2 Thugs.
I was just checking the deck list to see if Golgari Grave Troll was here. We have not seen it yet.
Yeah,
so
oddly enough.
I was wondering if it got cut or something. No, I'm just playing Black-Blue Dredge.
A very different approach.
As you mentioned, it's good not to take things for granted.
That's true.
You can just reassess every card in the deck.
This will be an attack for 1 in the air.
No, it's a blue-black deck. It's a blue-black deck. There's no Grave Troll. I have Underground Seas. Stinkweed Imps and Thugs, that's it.
See if Joe wants to do anything about this. It looks like he may have interest. I believe the top card right now of Lossett's deck is a copy of Vendilion Click. Now, one thing he can do that's very interesting, we've seen him do it many times, is play a Vendilion Click, do whatever he wants with the trigger, and then Red Elemental or Pyroblast it to remove Bridge from Belows.
And even saying that aside, there's a chance that Alexander will just attack in combat, and then the Click can also clear all the bridges that way by just blocking and trading.
Take a look at the top couple of cards here. Cabal Therapy being placed on the stack. There are bridge triggers here, of course. So some zombies will be coming, I believe, in just a moment, as long as Shearer does remember his triggers. Therapy looks like it's going to resolve. Unless that's going to dare him to name the right card. As there are 2 zombies from the bridge from below. There's a Brainstorm there on top from the counterbalance, so Therapy actually will not resolve. But Shearer's done a nice job of dredging this turn. He's going to, I believe, simply pass the turn back here with 2 zombies in play from bridge from below.
Not a lot else to be doing, and I think he wants to run his therapies through Acre Raids. Trying to maximize his bridge from belows.
Joe's draw is that Brainstorm that was on top. He's just going to pass the turn back. Shearer going to go to the graveyard. We're in his upkeep, so it might be time for a little Acre Raid action. There's 1. Remove a black card. There goes Putrid Imp. That's 2. Remove a black card. Another Putrid Imp. Now it's time to dredge a Stinkweed Imp. 5 cards.
Do you think anyone's ever shown Richard Garfield a dredge deck?
Probably not, no. He would hate this. And Narcomoeba among the cards found, that's going to come directly into play. Grave Troll has finally made an appearance. There's also another Therapy and the 3rd bridge from below in the bin. For what it's worth, I love dredge. 9th place in a Grand Prix in this room.
So do you like dredge or do you like winning?
No comment.
Okay. Because winning is super fun.
Brainstorm. Let's see what Joe can put together here. What's interesting about this, Bridge from Below, a very weird card, the way that it is worded.
Yeah, to say the least. You mean that it's a card that costs 3 black mana that has no game text when it's in play?
Well, I've cast it before.
To what end?
I needed Nature's Claim to gain 4 life.
Okay.
Okay. So it does have.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It does have text.
It's really well designed. I apologize.
You back off. Here's a Vendilion Click. The reason this is really strangely designed is because when non-token creatures die, you don't get anything. But when when a non-token creature dies, you get something. When a token creature dies, you get nothing.
Yeah.
So I think Joe's plan here is probably, I'm going to block your zombie token, which will remove your bridges from the graveyard, and then when your Ichorids die, you get nothing.
Exactly. Well, it's common for these cards for them to say whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a token to play because they don't want the tokens feeding themselves. Even the team responsible for Bridge from Below got that much.
Yes. Another thing to keep in mind, too, is that Shearer, the controller Bridge from Below, controls how the triggers are stacked. So let's say, for example, he were to block the Ichorid, some crazy things would happen there. But
right,
it would be in Shearer's favor.
He would be able to order the triggers of make tokens or exile Bridge however he wants to.
Correct.
One would assume would just make a bunch of tokens.
Now, 3 Bridge from Belows are going to bite the dust here. A lot of damage was dealt there by Alexander, as Lossett is down to 7. So there's still a problem here for Joe. He's through 1 pain. The bridges are basically gone. There's 1 left in Shearer's deck. The Ichorids are going to die. Of course, no bridge triggers as they're not there. But he's left behind a couple of goodies there. Lossett's going to spin. You've seen Entreat the Angels among the cards. Also a Jace there, too.
And I feel like we've gotten to the point where if Joe can find 1 more Terminus, he's going to get out of game 1. He needs 1 more. I don't think he can weather the storm here forever.
It's a good way to put it. Weathering the storm.
Yes.
That's what it's all about here for Joe. Jace the draw. Karak is going to come into play. Pass the turn back. And I believe Joe's top card of his deck is a copy of Entreat the Angels. You see Alexander going through his graveyard, reaching for those Ichorids again, seeing if there are black creatures to remove. There's 1. See you later, Thug. There's 2. See you later, Thug. Time to dredge a Grave Troll. Take a look at 6 cards this time. Finally 6. It's been 5 the entire game. Dread Return, Ichorid. Another Thug. Cephalid Coliseum, Verdant Catacombs, and a Flamekin Zealot, a popular Dread Return target.
Though without any bridges, it's much riskier for Alexander to pull the trigger on trying to reanimate something. And I like this. Just ship him in the red zone.
Alexander going to shrug his shoulders, ship into the red zone, hope it's good. The answer is no, it's not. There's an Entreat the Angels. That'll be for 2. 2 Angels incoming. Now he's at 7, so he's got to block in a certain way so he doesn't die, of course. I think Joe's probably wondering, can I maybe snipe the zombie?
Yeah. Because the Icarus blocking the Icarus saves the most damage, but also makes the fewest inroads on Alexander's board. So best case scenario is he's blocking things like Narcomoebas and zombies and trying to fight the Icarus the following turn.
Icarus are going to die. Joe's going to get to untap. He'll draw his top. Now, the thing about the Icarus is there's a finite number of times those can come back.
Yeah, only so many black creatures.
And he's removed quite a few of them. Here's 4 mana. Might be time for a chase. Yep. Well, that's a convenient answer to that zombie token. Yeah, see you later.
Oh, Joe, you make this such a delight.
Hasn't played a land yet for the turn. Does have a Flooded Strand that he can play, I believe. Don't know if he has any interest in sacrificing that, but it is an option as the set is at 4. He's trying to put a wall of defense up.
Just shields up and let Alexander deck himself. Seen it before, gonna see it again.
Yeah. It's funny that this is the game plan, game 1, but I think it is a high percentage of the time.
I've seen it too many times now. I think Joe's got to sit down and believe that's exactly how he's pursuing the games.
Icarus gonna remove a Thug here. Does the other Icarus have ammo? Well, Ashen Rider, see you later.
Oh yeah, that's some synergy right there.
The deck count. We knew it was going to come up. He'll be dredging again, though. 6 cards are going to go away.
This might be the last dredge.
A bridge, a Narcomoeba. Make it 2 Narcomoebas. Now it gets a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, this might be a dread return for Flamekin Zealot setup here.
I think this is what Joe was a little bit scared of.
I mean, this is a lot of juice right here that Alexander has. A lot of tokens.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, Alexander has 2 copies of Dread Return. Icarus going to get sacrificed. Trigger on the stack there for the bridge. Cabal Therapy, will you resolve? Looks like we're going to have a response to this. Joe is going to go down to 3. Sacrifice the fetch land. His card in hand is a copy of Force of Will. He'll search up a Plains. I believe he's in search of a blue card right now. 2 Dread Returns in Shearer's deck, but I think only 1 currently in the graveyard.
Yeah. I believe that is correct.
So what Lossett is probably looking to accomplish this turn is, I'm going to spin my top, I find a blue card to go along with my Force of Will. As we take a look at 3 cards, it's a Tarn, it's a Terminus, and we did not get a great look at that 3rd card.
The other thing he could be trying to do is spin for a 4-mana card, because he knows that locks out Dread Return.
That's true.
He probably survives this turn, and then Alexander is dead-ended.
Yep. But I think what he was looking to accomplish is, I find a blue card, I put top on top, I have a blue card to go with my Force of Will, that counters your Dread Return. Joe gonna draw a card. Put the top on top, counter the Cabal Therapy. The problem here is I don't think he found a blue card, so. Shearer's gonna slide those Narcomoebas together. One of those gets to attack this turn. The zombie's brand new. The Icarus can do battle.
Well, this could also just be a Dread Return.
Yeah.
Sack the 3 Narcomoebas. Skip back to Flamekin Zealot. Make some zombies.
Joe's going to show he's got at least 1 Force Will in hand. Don't think the other card is blue, though. There are 3 zombie tokens. You have to imagine it's targeting Flamekin Zealot. And it is. That comes into play. Gives everything +1/+1 in haste. Attack with everybody, and that is going to do it. Alexander Shearer on a mulligan to 4 is going to win game number 1 here over Joe Lossett. Dredge up a game over Miracles.
Joe did it. It's sounds obvious to say, but everything in his power there to get game 1. He had Alexander on the ropes and just fell 1 turn short.
You can tell a little bit of frustration there, I think. he's so close.
Yeah.
To winning that game. I think Shearer only had 2 or 3 cards left in his deck. He had to make it through one more turn. Maybe fade a bridge from below, was unable to do so. Both players are going to take a look at the sideboards here. Well, Joe has 2 copies of Rest in Peace, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Pithing Needle, 2 Flusterstorms, a Red Blast, a Pyroblast, 2 Misdirection, a Blood Moon, a Venser, a Wear Terra, Supreme Verdict, and an Is It Staticaster. A lot of options.
Staticaster, I think, is coming in here. I think you can bring in the Needle, the 2 Rest in Peace, the Grafdigger's Cage. A lot to bring in.
Not only a lot to bring in, but awesome options.
Yeah, they're all maybe game over by themselves or with only a little bit of help.
What do we see on Alexander's side?
4 Chain of Vapor, 4 Fairy Macabre, a Lawan, Cephalid Empress, an Ancestor Chosen, an Ella Snorn, 3 Ashen Rider, and an Iona Shield of Amera. I like bringing in the 4 copies of Chain of Vapor, and I don't think I would really mess around with any of the other Reanimator targets. I could see maybe bringing in, maybe Iona is better than Ashen Rider in this matchup, but that's a fractional upgrade, if anything.
Strange to see Dredge win on a mulligan to 4. I guess not that strange, but that game was a little bit different than what we've seen.
Doesn't really play with cards in its hand, so that helps a lot. So we have a little more information coming out on the floor there. We have 4 decks already locked up. Blue-Red Delver, Sneak and Show, Goblins, and Ad Nauseam Tendrils. And then we have this match, that's a win and in. We have Dredge versus Tin Fins as a win and in. Temur Delver versus Maverick as a win and in. Maverick's a deck you and I have been talking about for a while as being poised for a resurgence in the face of Treasure Cruise. And Bant versus Lands. So we're going to have a pretty diverse top 8 over here.
Tell you what, great top 8 for Goblins.
Oh, you don't
Looks really good there. Ant, Sneak and Show, potentially Dredge,
Tin Fins.
Tin Fins.
So what's the matchup you want? How do you feel about the Maverick matchup?
Depends on the composition of my deck and their deck.
Okay.
Honestly. Like, if they're on Punishing Fire, not feeling great.
So you like the Merfolk matchup, I assume, right?
That one's very good.
Okay. Give me some other ones. Death and Taxes.
That one's really good.
Really good.
I think.
So the decks are just trying to play good creatures and anti-spell disruption. Goblin's going to be good against those kind of decks.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This top 8 is not good news for Goblins. It's not good news.
It feels like you say that a lot.
I'm just honest.
Yeah, sure, no.
That's all.
I'm not saying that you should lie or anything. It's just interesting to me that so much of the field seems that bad.
Yeah, it's just like Ad Nauseam Tendrils, decline.
Sultai Delver.
That's, it depends on their sideboard.
Okay.
Like, if they're haters and have Engineered Plague, it's
Toxic
over.
Deluges and things like that.
You know,
sure.
a high number of Golgari Charms, then it's bad news. I think that you can grind with them, but again, you know, a card like Deathbright Charm you don't want to play against. Tarmogoyf can be a pain depending on the composition of your deck.
Yep.
You can win. Like, I've beaten Sultai Delver quite a few times, but I'm not like, yes, let's play. Because Abrupt Decay changed everything. That's the thing. Because before, you weren't reliant on Goblin Lackey. You were relying on Aether Vial. And the fact that they have an answer that, you know, Abrupt Decay kills Vial very easily. You know, you could just have games where it's like, okay, I'll play kind of a slow burn, mess with your mana for a little while. Vial will generate my advantage. They have Abrupt Decay for that now. So you can't even really go that route anymore. That's the problem. And that was a route that a lot of Goblin players went to and was very successful with.
Just play a Vial, port and Wasteland you, and then by the time you're ready to play Magic, I'm vialing in Ringleaders and you're too far behind.
Yeah, and then you can win a game that way.
How do you feel about the Dredge or Tin Fins matchup? Dredge is probably fine for Goblins, right? You have a lot of sack outlets? Or you can build your deck to have a lot of sack outlets?
I mean, you can build your deck to have a lot of sack outlets. You can play cards like Mog Fanatic and Skirk Prospector and Goblin Sledder. You know,
the Sledder, go way back.
I'll go deep. Mog War Marshal, you can decline to pay the Echo thanks.
It's nice.
It's not a good matchup, really.
Still not a good matchup?
Not a good
That's
matchup,
incredible to me.
Goblin Lackey does play a big role in the matchup because it lets you speed up and kind of race them. You can get real creative with Pyrokinesis, kill your own creatures.
Nice.
Heyo! That's right. Again, I've beaten Dredge a couple of times, but, you know, that's not a matchup I would prefer to play against either.
Right.
That's all. It's not impossible. It's just tough.
Hoping for nothing but monocolor creature decks.
Bring it on, elves. Bring it on. Here's a Grafdigger's Cage. That's a good card in this matchup.
I love Alexander's sideboard of 4X Chain of Vapors because you sometimes see these decks play with, you know, like Pithing Needle or things that are trying to fight particular sideboard cards. Chain of Vapor 4X just says, I don't really care what you're putting in play, Leyline of the Void, Tormod Script, Grafdigger's Cage, whatever. I can clean it up.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot, actually.
How do you feel about Alexander's build here? Well, you know, there's some things here that are definitely bucking conventional wisdom.
I like the ability to grind, play a longer game, not be all in. Here's Careful Study. Misty Rainforest and a bridge from below are the draws. And discard a bridge, and another bridge. Before passing the turn back, Lossett will draw a copy of Source of Plowshares. There's a top. He does not have a second land, so Joe kept his hand solely based off of Gravedigger's Cage.
Well, Gravedigger's Cage top 1 land is a totally justifiable keep.
I completely agree with you.
Never mulliganing that against Dredge.
Shearer going to sacrifice Misty Rainforest. We'll see what else he's up to. There's an Underground Sea. Doesn't have any of the crazy lands like Gemstone Miner, City of Brass, as you mentioned.
Yep, 7 fetches, 3 duels, 4 Coliseums. I've never seen a Dredge mana base like this.
Putrid Imp. Joe going to spin the top on the upkeep. Red Blast. I don't think he found one. Quickly keeps them, draws, passes. Shearer going to take a look at the bin. No Dredgers down there just yet. He will draw a card, however. Well, take a look again at those 2 bridge from blows down there. Those are the relevant ones. Here is a Verdant Catacombs.
And Alexander doing this right now because this is his last fetchable land.
Yep.
So he doesn't want to flip that one over on a Dredge and then be left with nothing to go get with the Verdant Catacomb.
See what he finds here on this turn. We could be just going the pathetic beatdown plan.
Why not?
Don't be above casting a Stinkweed.
Alexander apparently did this to Corey Burkhart last round.
Going to discard Thug. That's Threshold.
Oh, someone's clock just doubled.
To ya.
This is another just bizarre design from Magic's Archives. We had a rule while we were testing for Team Limited that you were allowed 1 Putrid Imp in your deck for every Arrogant Worm. Because Green-Black was one of the decks that we liked a lot. That was the rule.
Here's a hard cast Stinkweed Imp. Joe's just going to pass the turn back. Nice hard and fast rule there.
Yeah, you get every Putrid Imp, every Arrogant Worm allows you 1 Putrid Imp.
Oh, I like it. No Dredge beatdowns. All right, get that thing out of here. Now we're riding dirty.
We're in manual mode.
That's right. Discard Nicarid. Discard a Flamekin Zealot. Now that Putrid Imp will be exiled. Won't stay in the graveyard. So we will take care of that. And here's a Thug.
And Joe's just thinking, please not like this.
Gotta beat you down. Show you who the boss is. Joe gonna draw a card. He knows what those cards are. Another Swords in hand.
Joe feeling like he can just afford to source the Plowshares here rather than look for a land because these beats aren't really demanding much of a response just yet.
Yeah, he's gonna take 1. See you later, Stinkweed Imp. It's a strategy all unto itself.
Yep.
The Dredge beatdowns. Joe gonna spin now. Entreat the Angels. He found an island in Arid Mesa.
All right, Joe's broken out.
There's a land. Quickly comes into play. Kick it back. Putrid Imp the draw.
Ooh.
In for 1.
Big draw from Alexander.
Turning it all around. There is the Imp. Joe gonna spin the top. Arid Mesa. Entreat the Angels. I like that Entreat the Angels is the stop sign here.
Somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
That's why Joe has to get rid of the Stinkweed Imp because that thing has Death Touch.
That's true.
That trades with an Angel.
Here comes the attack.
Well, bam.
Looks like Joe's just going to take the damage. I think he thought about casting Vendilion Click. And he still may be. There's another Thug. For what it's worth, if you're on the Dread side of things and you win a game this way, there are a few things more satisfying. Icarid is the card.
Oh, you better hope Alexander doesn't draw land number 4 over there, Joe.
Arid Mesa the draw. Getcha. There is an Arid Mesa. That's the turn back. Putrid Imp.
Bang.
Beat downs. Joe gonna take a look. He does have a like, oh, I love this. This is an absolute delight. He's going to play Vendilion Click, lose his Vendilion Click that's in play, remove the bridges from the graveyard. That's where those are going to go.
Yep. Seen this play out of Joe's playbook, too.
See you later, alligator. Now he can probably block if he wants. Keep his head above water. He'll take 2, go to 9. Virtual weight due to the Arid Mesa. Oh, but a replacement Putrid
I know.
Imp. That's an Entreat the Angels. That might be the stop sign. With the Miracle on the stack, Joe will search up a land. It'll be a volcanic island. 2 4/4s. And that is it for Lossett.
Now Joe can play a little offense-defense. One Angel can attack, and one Angel can block.
Good basketball reference.
Not really a basketball reference. That's just applicable across a wide range of things.
Nah.
We're thugging.
It's on a dredge. Alexander shifting plans now. He's found an Archimedes, a bridge from
Ooh.
below.
Oh, can't be down with that thing.
No.
Can't get it back. The cage, I was about to say. Alexander picked up another beater.
He's coming in. It attacks like a free roll. The creatures upgrade.
I know.
Though I do think Joe will be doing some blocking here.
Is that true? I don't think there's a lot to be gained by blocking the Thug. And if you want to block the Putrid Imp, I guess, sure.
I mean, can't you just go like block Putrid Imp, block Thug? They become 2/2s, and then you just block them again?
Well, I think Joe wants to start attacking with one Angel. Maybe he can just sit here and wait, but it's risky, you know?
Yeah, I don't see what the rush is. That's the thing, right? Like,
Alexander draws something that breaks out of Graphicer's cage, and then things start happening is the risk.
I suppose. I mean, that means that Joe's hand and top cards of his deck with top are bad. If we want to play draw step to draw step, I'm perfectly fine doing that. And the longer the game goes, the better it is for Joe. I don't think that Joe's in a hurry to win. He's going to block both creatures. They're both going to die. Zombies are going to come into play from the bridge trigger. Joe will take 1. Alexander taking a look at the graveyard here. He does have a Dread Return.
Oh, when the Thug dies, he gets to put something on top of his deck. I forgot that thing even had a text box.
The best part is
Man, it was a different R&D regime back when Ravnica got printed, I'll tell you what.
It's mandatory, too.
Oh, it's mandatory,
Yeah.
okay.
Joe's going to draw a card. It's a powerful one.
All right, well,
A little bit of confusion here, I think.
yeah.
We'll see exactly what's going on.
This is the hammer lock that's coming down.
The graveyards are no longer with us. Rest in Peace has shown up.
Now Alexander needs 2 copies of Chain of Vapor to get anything going.
Yes. Again, Joe more than happy to play defense, though the clock does go tick-tock. We're underneath 17 minutes. Oh, Narcomoeba. Nice.
Hey, well, you can cast that. Well, bam.
Put that on top. Knew that was coming.
I would say poor Dredge Guy if the Dredge Guy was worthy of any sympathy. Because this is tough.
The Red Elemental Blast going to take care of the Narcomoeba. Joe going to tap 4 mana. It's a Jace. Now he gets to start controlling the draw step. Elevator going up here in just a moment. Actually going to go down and get the zombie token off the battlefield. Thought he might Fate Seal. Just going to pass the turn back, whittle the forces away. Stinkweed Imp to draw.
Big draw here, can attack through an Angel.
Well, they can block. There is that. Don't you make fun of old Stinky. I've hardcast that card more times than you can imagine. I don't even know the lifetime damage I've dealt with it.
Do you think it's 20?
Oh, way more.
Way over?
Way more.
Discounting draft.
No, yes.
Okay, just
way
constructed.
more. Yeah, it's definitely triple digits.
That seems impossible to be.
Proud of it.
I'll take your word for it.
Proud of it. Done a lot of work. Great card. Simple, really. Looks like Jace is going down. Somebody's feeling aggressive. Beatdowns, maybe, yes. 17 minus 8 is going to put Shearer down to 9.
And I think Joe has set an entreat on top of his deck, so now.
That makes it pretty easy, doesn't it?
Alexander did give it his best punch with this pathetic crew of creatures, but
Joe very quickly going to draw a card with top, activate. There is Entreat the Angels. It'll be for 2.
not a winning recipe here for Dredge to try to win this way.
Talk about the little guys like that. A little respect. They fight. They fight hard.
Not hard enough.
That's true.
Well, man.
There is old Stinky. Joe going to quickly untap. He'll draw. Probably just clear Stinky out of the way and attack for lethal. Yep. It's on to game 3. That's where we're going between Lossett and Shearer. Miracles and Dredge even up. We'll see what Alexander can put together for game number 3.
Even the one-landers that Joe gets are going to be fine if he has the sufficient hate cards. That's
Absolutely.
the lesson there.
Yeah, I agree.
We saw him almost pull out game 1 with no specific hate, just with Turbidus and being able to defend himself. So I think that Joe's got a really good shot here if he finds, a Rest in Peace, a Grafdigger's Cage, just something. He only needs a little bit more.
I'll tell you what, it is entertaining to watch Dredge just try to claw its opponent down with just complete rubbish.
Oh yeah.
That was actually, when I played Dredge many moons ago and extended, I can't believe that's a name anymore. That was actually the thing I took the most pleasure in, was just making zombies with Drowned Rusalka, casting Life from the Loam, hard casting Grave Trolls. That was magic, baby.
Yep.
Combo game 1, grind them into a pulp game 2 and game 3.
It's a different world.
With just the most embarrassing ragtag group of creatures. I loved it. Hedron Crab, go after Scape Shift.
Sure.
Who are you targeting? You. Gotta try to get those Valakuts,
Yeah.
bro.
Gonna run you out of Valakuts or Mountains.
Yeah, that's what I'm
getting
doing.
something.
Yeah. Those were the days. The Loam Crab plan against Scape Shift. That was really, or sometimes you switch it up. When you're born in the Ancestral shows in, you target yourself, and you try to get high enough that they can't kill you with Scape Shift.
Right, because they're not going infinite. They have a ceiling.
Yeah. A real delight.
Simpler times.
Dredge,
And yet substantially more complicated times in some respects.
Dredge a lot more versatile than people think. Even though it can be ugly at times. And now we have been informed that Alexander Shearer has chosen to draw for game 3.
Interesting.
I call that the Jerry T special. There's no one I know more that likes to draw than Jerry. Maybe Guillaume Waffletop.
I draw a lot too.
No.
Yep. Beatdown mirror match, I draw all the time.
All right. Guillaume loves to draw in a control mirror, and Jerry just likes to draw sometimes just cause.
Just wants to feel something.
Give me that extra card.
Just want to mix it up.
Yeah.
I want to demonstrate my range. Keep moving. Don't want him to get too comfortable. You don't know what I'm capable of doing.
Give me that extra card.
I'll draw first, and then draw a discard on turn 1. You don't know what I'll do.
Yeah. My range is wide.
It's wide.
And it's important to have a wide range.
You don't
That
want
much I know.
You don't want people settling in. Got to keep them comfortable.
That is correct.
And you can apply that to all sorts of things in life. Don't let them settle in.
Gotta learn them.
Gotta let them know. Meeting your friend for lunch at noon, show up at 1:30. You know why? Don't want them to get comfortable. Don't want them to start assuming things.
That's just rude. That's just a mean thing to do.
It's just risky to let them settle in. To get too comfortable.
Sensei's Dividing Top. Gonna start things off here at game 3. Shearer, again, did choose to draw, so here's a Verdant Catacombs. Are you late for lunch a lot then? Is that what that means?
No, I'm not saying I do this a lot. It's just, you got to keep them guessing.
If they ask why you were late, is there an explanation, or do you just tell them?
Just shrug your shoulders, sit down and order something.
I like it.
You don't owe them an explanation. Why would you?
Because they're
What do you have to say? What do you have to say to them?
They're your friend, hapless researcher, showing up to the party.
This was another card that had some arrogant X to arrogant worm relationship.
Yes, the hapless one.
Happy the hapless researcher.
It's funny because Happy is such an easy nickname, but it's still good.
It's still good.
It's still really good. Joe gonna spin the top in his upkeep. Draw a card. Looks to be a mountain. There's Nared Mesa. Kick it back. Shearer gonna get a little happy. Gonna draw, then discard. There goes old Stinky. Untap and dredge. Let's take a look at 5 cards, shall we? Got Narcomoeba, Careful Study, another Stinky, and Iona.
So it looks like he probably, I would imagine Alexander swapped out the Ashen Rider here, which does not do very much against Joe. For Iona, which may do quite a bit.
Other cards, the Cephalid Coliseum. Narcomoeba's in. Joe with no cage this game. There's Careful Study. Joe gonna take a look at the graveyard. It's a Stinkweed Imp. That'll be dredged first. Here come 5 cards. See if you can chain off into more. The answer is no, though a Narcomoeba is going to come in.
Well, we think.
Well, it's got to resolve Careful Study completely
yeah,
first,
sure.
and then Narcomoeba trigger goes on the stack.
I thought we had seen our second look. That's
Gotcha.
why. Okay.
So there's a bitch from below. I hope for Alexander's case, as he does discard a second card, that he returns that Narcomoeba. Uh-oh.
So we were both right.
It's a bit of a whammy. Misty Rainforest will be sacrificed. He is past the point of no return.
And this is a reason why dredge players, when they're playing, will often lay out their graveyard across the table. You've seen multiple times in this match, Alexander has kind of had to pick up his graveyard, look through it, put it back down. And part of that is it's just way easier to see everything if it's all laid out.
When I play dredge, I used to put my graveyard in a stack like Shearer did. The cards that mattered, I turned to the side.
Yep.
My graveyard would kind of look like a mess. But one of the things that's kind of strange about playing dredge is you have to have your mechanics for playing this deck physically are much different from when you're playing any other deck.
It is a totally different experience.
And your graveyard is an extension of your hand. So you need to be able to see that information in your graveyard because your graveyard is more important than your hand, honestly.
Yeah. Past turn 2, your hand is, it's not even a hand.
Basically
really.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Here's Swords of Plowshares and the Narcomoeba. Adios. This is all in response to Cabal Therapy. And don't forget, Swords of Plowshares removes, exiles, does not destroy.
Yep.
So no bridge trigger. We'll get confirmation on what was named here in just a moment. As you see, Joe does have his copy. He's a Static Caster along with a Mountain, a Jace, and an Entreat the Angels.
Joe, don't ever change.
Force of Will was the name.
Very good against Narcomoebas, very good against Icarids.
Yep. Gun them all down. I love it. I absolutely love it. Joe gonna untap and draw here. We'll see what he's up to.
All right, well, there you have it.
Good draw.
Good draw step there, Joe. Joe knows it too, didn't even try to hide it.
Sometimes our job's easy.
Yeah.
Good draw, Alexander's turn. Gonna spin the top.
Locked out of the game. All right, your turn. All right, I'll draw a Golgari Grave Troll. I'm done. Stinkweed Imp, all right.
We're thugging and bugging.
Thug.
It's time to go manual.
Thug into the face of a Static Caster. Just doesn't even care.
I almost kind of hope Joe never shoots it and just blocks
Blocks
it.
all day. Yeah. Well, you know, you can imagine down the line it's valuable for the Thug to be in play.
Sure.
Because if a bridge gets in the graveyard, then the Static Caster can
There's
shoot
no
it.
graveyard.
No, I'm saying maybe he has a Chain of Vapor and
All right,
get it.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
The thug is sort of a resource for Joe because it allows him to get a bridge out of the graveyard at a moment's notice.
That's fair. That's fair. Here's the third land. Things might get a little bit stinkier in here.
Yep. And Joe, he's sort of saying, the game's locked up here. It's just inevitability, and let's get a move on.
Yeah, fire that down. Here is old Stinky. Joe going to quickly untap and draw a card here. Might spin the top on the upkeep, and he will. Snapcaster Mage among the cards. Pass the turn back. Alexander going to draw a copy of Hapless Researcher. Not so happy anymore.
No.
In for one.
More hapless than happy at this point.
Players making sure life totals are correct. All that stuff. It's funny, this is a familiar position for Joe, where he has to play a little faster himself and implore his opponent to play faster.
Yep.
Miracles does take a while to win. Happy's going to get happy. We'll draw discard action here. There goes a Grave Troll. Might be time to cast a Cabal Therapy here for Alexander. It is. Joe thought about casting a Snapcaster Mage.
Well, there's no value to be gotten out of the Snapcaster Mage at this point.
Yep.
There's no graveyard for the rest of the game, so this is just going to be a 2-1 beater.
Yeah, that's his clock, so that's going to come in. He's all Jace the Mind Sculptor named. So now Joe's going to spin top on the upkeep. Terminus among the cards he's looking at. Brainstorm 2. He will draw a copy of Brainstorm. He will attack for 2. Shearer's down to 16, underneath 4 minutes in the match. There is a Brainstorm. 3 cards coming. 2 cards going back. The third one was the most important because it was a fetch land, I believe.
Well, this allows him to also just take a land and set and treat.
Yep.
And that's going to speed up the clock considerably.
And the Flooded Strand happens to be the second source of white mana. What a delight.
And that Verdant Catacombs that Alexander just drew, there are no lands left in the deck.
Only 3 undergrounds. Joe's actually going to just draw a land this turn. It's an island. He will play that. You see the Venser. Here's the attack. See if Shearer has any interest in blocking. Yep, we'll trade. Shearer will draw. There's a Careful Study. That's going to resolve. So 2 cards, Chain of Vapor and a Flamekin Zealot. 2 cards to the bin.
Chain of Vapor gives him the smallest sliver of hope, but I think way too much damage has been done.
Yeah, because he's got to redo everything.
Yeah, and Joe's going to kill him pretty fast here. I mean, he's going to entreat for 3.
There is entreat. He'll sacrifice the fetch land, let the Miracle stay on the stack.
And Joe Lossett on the verge not only of winning this game and this match, but perhaps being the top overall seed.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like Joe.
Yeah.
Looks like Joe may have forgotten to shuffle top into the deck.
Right.
Yep, there we go. It's funny because I second guess myself. It's like, is there this weird clause where it says draw a card and then he can entreat and then sack a fetch and then put top on top? It's like Joe just knows the deck so well. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. So.
But I do defer to this band's experience, so.
Here come 3 angels. Joe gonna get a move on here.
Yeah.
Joe has 6 angels now. Joe refuses to use those angels. He'll attack for 12. Well, here's the thing. You got to get comfortable in the feature match area.
Yeah. Joe's been here before. Doesn't even matter. Got this game locked up.
He's been here so many times, you would think that he knows we provide him with tokens. But his refusal to use them is as admirable. And that is going to do it. Joe Lossett's going to win this match here over Alexander Shearer. 2-1. 7-1 is the Miracle Mastermind. Qualified for the Players' Championship and looking for another Legacy Open title.
Not a lot to be said there. Joe did a great job navigating game 1 in a losing effort. Got Alexander within a turn of not being able to do anything. And then in games 2 and 3, just brought a little bit of hate to the table, and it was too much for Alexander to overcome.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And Joe Lossett, one of our last matches here in the Swiss. He's in the top 8. Realistic chance he's the #1 overall seed and someone we will be following throughout our elimination rounds as we do come back to the